Well, dear friends, it is the 3rd of September, and do we have a lot of things to go over? Yes, we do. I waited for this to build up. So let's start with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Lots of interesting stuff out of there. What we see in SCO, well, first of all, obviously, what we see is that Russia is not isolated. Russia is in the midst of a lot of countries that agree with it, that are going to continue having business with it, they're going to get closer ties with it. Europe is isolated. That subcontinent of Asia is very isolated. Uh, the European Union didn't send anybody. They are not part of this player, and the world is developing without them. I mean, that is as obvious as it gets. The Americans way overplayed their hand and wound up driving the Indians squarely into the hands of uh, China. Not only did they not ruin the relationship between India and Russia, but they managed to settle the grievances, or at least begin the process of settling the grievances between the Indians and the Chinese. Let's not forget, in the 1950s, the Indians and Chinese had a border war. And while China seems to have gotten more or less over it and kept on going, well, they didn't win. The Indians didn't. And the Indians were the weak hand in BRICS for quite a while. And here we go with well, somebody's got to be the punching bag, so let's make Modi the punching bag, which really, really pissed off the Indians. They're a proud people, so the Americans did the absolute stupidest thing they could. Just like, it reminds me of this. Whatever happens, the Russians and the Chinese should not get closer. That is the worst thing we can do. So let's beat both of them and threaten both of them and try to overthrow both of them, because that's for sure they will not get close to each other. Right. Or, well, now we can offer some trinkets to Russia and it'll abandon China. Right. And the delusion's still very strong there that, oh, we can get Russia to abandon China, because the Russians are just stupid, barely above animal barbarians. We'll just throw some trinkets at them, like, say, their money back that we've stolen or frozen. Well, it's one of those things. You've frozen it. You're stealing the percentages off of it, which you'll get sued for eventually, whether or not anything comes out of it. It'll at least be the principle of it. You can't really pull all that money out and just give it away without damaging a good chunk of the economy, because that money isn't just laying around in some kind of bank account collecting interest. That money is in funds that are actively being engaged. These are funds that are owned by different companies, and this is money that's in the market. So if you want to pull $300 billion out of the market to give it to the Ukrainians, so you can get a couple some percentage of kickback while you're at it, as a U.S. politician or as an EU politician, go right ahead. You not only damage your own economy because you're pulling that money that's actively in different funds right out, um, but you also make sure nobody will ever trust to put any money in your country again. That's why the Americans keep pushing the Europeans, because the Europeans are dumb, but they're not quite that dumb. As dumb as they are, they're still resisting because they've been warned that'll be the stupidest thing you can do. So there's at least a little bit of a break on these moronic imbeciles. Though I think that'll break eventually, because they're greedy and they're stupid, and greed and stupidity, when they go hand in hand, that breeds arrogance, and arrogance will bring you down every time. And as greedy as the American government types are, they're not that stupid. They'll push the European morons to do it, but they won't take it themselves, because they know it'll be a hit by their economy as well. No matter what Lady Graham there is screaming left and right, if anybody's still listening to it. I would venture to probably say, I'm beginning to think Lady Graham is actually an FSB agent. Let that thing sink in, because Lady Graham is doing everything he can to sabotage the U.S. economy, the U.S. military, and U.S. foreign policy. I mean, this guy, well, maybe he's working for the Chinese. He's working for somebody. Because, I mean, to be that effective in sabotaging the U.S. In all its goals, making sure the U.S. is doing nothing but scoring on itself, you either got to be so damn stupid that chewing bubblegum is going to be, not even walking, just chewing bubblegum is already probably a skill beyond your means, or you're playing for the other team. So spread that around. Let's see what people think, what they come up with. Leave in the comments. What do you think? Lady Graham, there, the graham cracker is, where's the graham cracker baked? Which country is it actually baked? So think about that. That's something to consider. So and we get right into this clown moment in this, by the way, with the SCO, because in the SCO, the Ukrainians, they're so pissed off. They feel so friggin' isolated. Except for their European vassals, because I think the Europeans are more vassal to the Ukrainians than Ukrainians are to them these days. Um, that they took the big photo at the end, this huge photo with all these world leaders and some of them with their wives from the SCO standing together. The Ukrainians cropped it. Whereas Putin, there's a few others, and they cut out all the second row. So it only looks like 4 or 5 people. Oh, see, Russia's isolated. I mean, this is you could get away with stuff like that back when there was no internet, back when you could put an iron curtain down and control what everybody sees and hears. And that the Ukrainians are trying to do that to their own people. Uh, but these days, putting something like that out, something blatantly stupid like that, just shows you how desperate and silly your whole regime is. I mean, but then again, the uh, Maestro's regime. It's the same one that green screens him at various signs of various cities that are about to fall, by the way, or getting ready to be surrounded. And that it's such a cheesy green screen because on a couple of them, like Avdeevka, uh, no, I guess Avdeevka he wasn't. Avdeevka was before him. But where was it? Pokrovsk, maybe? There's two places where the wind's blowing hard and you can see all the trees, the leaves are going and the branches and the wind's blowing hard. And the penal maestro is standing there and his hair's not moving at all. I mean, the wind's blowing here, but his hair, nothing on him is moving. I mean, cheap green screen. They could at least put a fan there and made it look like it. I guess that's just a little too much effort. Geez, yeah. So, other things that came from the SCO. Not only is India and China getting close, and it looks like China offered to help India financially to cover any of the blows from American sanctions. And there's a lot of Americans screaming, "Oh, cut the H-1Bs." Well, yeah, that would actually somewhat hurt India because a lot of those people do send money back. But the number one, honestly, I'm against H-1Bs like that because I know the U.S. has plenty of engineers that are sitting without work. I mean, I went through that when I was in the U.S. after the military. Before I got my MBA, I was doing software development, and the H-1Bs were coming in. But don't think the H-1Bs are coming into some kind of slush fund heaven paradise. These guys. How long does it take an H-1B to get a green card? It depends on the nationality and how many people from that nationality are in the U.S. Last time I talked to some Indians, this was when I was working for Cameron. I had a couple of Indians on a H-1B, and I talked to them and said, for them it was 11 years. Now, what does that mean? 11 years, they can't lose their sponsor or they're out of the U.S. You got 2 weeks to pack up or find a new sponsor, and you pack up and get the hell out for life. So it's 11 years they're stuck making a third to half the salary of those that are legally allowed to work in the U.S. without the H-1B. So legal residents, citizens, they don't get promoted. It's the same crap jobs, whatever they were pulled into. 11 years. So don't think they're having exactly a good time of it. The U.S. companies, the U.S. oligarchs are making a fortune out of it because they're sacrificing their own citizens to get cheaper rates. They're walking around the whole supply and demand curve uh, because they're introducing H-1Bs. But overall, that still doesn't really damage the Indian economy. So, and I've gone over why the Indians said no, and I'm not the only one. So I'm sure quite a few people have gone over it by this point. Another interesting moment that came out of this: the Azerbaijanis. Aliyev is an idiot. Oh, I had a better opinion of him until all this started up, and he keeps opening his mouth, and really stupid things keep coming out of it. Like he said, for example, that Azerbaijan being part of the Soviet Union was an occupation, and he personally knows how hard and how much Azerbaijan suffered under the Soviet Union's occupation. Never mind the whole oil and gas industry and all that. And Baku was built up by first the Russian Empire and then by the Soviet Union. We'll just ignore all of that. Yeah. Uh, Aliyev's father was a general in the KGB. It's like Kalakayas over there. Her father was a high-placed communist official. Her family was living in the swimming in chocolate, as they say in Russian, under the Soviet Union. So was Aliyev. So, they're crying crocodile tears. These sons and daughters of the apparatchiks of the Soviet Union. I mean, they're hypocritical and they're stupid because all of it's easy to look up. And his father's KGB ID card or passport, it's a two-pager, is now floating all over the internet. Somebody went over into the records, took a photo of it, and off it goes. So I mean, but it gets better. So Azerbaijan wanted entry into SCO, right? So what do you do when you want entry into SCO? You go piss off one of the top members of the SCO. And they did that. They did it to India because Aliyev apparently, when he met with everybody, went and congratulated the Pakistanis on victory in that border war between the last one we just had between India and Pakistan. And apparently he did it stupidly, pointedly enough, or loudly enough that the Indians found out about it. And they just blocked him and they sent him home basically. Bye bye, Azerbaijan. Yeah, this guy, between his contaminated oil, his crap gas that's wet because it's not properly dehydrated, that's going into Georgia and other places and has to be mixed with gas from gas. He's getting lots of his co-nationals back from Russia while the border's closed to his country's tomatoes, potatoes, and milk products and whatever else. So he wanted a war. Basically, he's got an economic war, and he might be having a Maidan soon enough, a Maidan moment. Except this is going to be from lots of very pissed off people, a lot of whom were in criminal organizations in Russia and are now being kicked out in mass. He's got problems. His stability is going out the window. But hey, you wanted to be a whore for the West. You didn't learn your lesson from watching Ukraine. You armed Ukraine. You worked for Mossad, the CIA, MI6, SBU. Well, you do all these things. Sooner or later, the chickens are going to come home to roost. So, as they say, and that's by the way, one of the things that came out of the SCO. So we get this additional clown world moment. How stupid can you be? Pretty damn stupid. And the SCO, interestingly enough, there's a lot of business that was done in the SCO, but the SCO is a cooperation organization against regional threats. So it's not in competition with BRICS per se. It's starting to run parallel with BRICS. They're not saying we're an alliance because, as Vladimir Vladimirovich put it, An alliance block is against someone. We're not against anyone in particular, but we're going to look out for each other. So when somebody starts a color revolution, we share information, we share training, and if need be, we help each other stop those American and EU or Brussels-sponsored color revolutions that they so love, and they go pretty much so by the same playbook. So this is turning into something much harder and stronger. Why? Because every country in it is under threat. It's under threat from Washington. It's under threat from London. It's under threat from Brussels. So what do people do? Is they say we either hang together or we're definitely going to hang separately. So Indonesia is in the middle of, by the way, a Western-sponsored something that looks trying to shape up into a Maidan. So Bangladesh just got overthrown, but even overthrown, Bangladesh seems to still be realizing what's in it for them. Because one of the things that was discussed and is being planned, Russia has a Power of Siberia 1 oil pipeline that goes into northern China. These are from eastern Russian oil fields that were always meant for Asia, because geographically they're closer. And this pipeline is being considered or planned now to be prolonged through all of China into Bangladesh and into India, which will provide oil for both Bangladesh and India, and Bangladesh and China will earn transit fees. And once that main line is in, you know it's going to branch off to the south, southeast, toward Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia maybe. Well, Malaysia does have its own oil. So it's bound to head in that direction sooner than later, especially toward Vietnam. So additionally, during SCO, the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline project has been signed. Now this is a major threat to Europe, because this pipeline goes through the western Yamal Peninsula oil fields. And those pipelines have always ran west. Now, we know the history of the last 3.5 years, 4 years, 5 years, and the EU also wants to get off Russian energy products and go into fairy dust land electricity. So I guess Russia is going to be helping them. So this pipeline is going to go through Mongolia, which also helped Mongolia quite a bit, and into China. And it may go further after that. So right off the bat, Mongolia gets the energy it needs on top of that. And once this is set up and going, you can just start demolishing the Western-based pipeline. Because Europe, not so much so anymore. Bye-bye. And once again, on many options, Europe is finding out who needed whom the most. And it damn well wasn't Russia needing Europe. Especially Russian R&D accelerating more and more, and you got American R&D that's accelerating now. So yeah, it's all accelerating up. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Very interesting to watch how this is going to turn out. And if I was a betting man, I would say the U.S. is going to have problems. The U.S. is going to have a lot of problems. I'm sorry, the U.S., the EU, going forward. So we'll see. So we'll keep going. Andrei Parabuya. So this is a piece of work. This guy is a Ukrainian ultranationalist, or was a Ukrainian ultranationalist, Nazi, flat-out Nazi. He was a former speaker of the Rada, the parliament, and before that, he was the guy that helped organize the mass murder in the House of Professionals, the Union of Professionals, in Odessa. Now, the official death toll is 48, though I've heard from... Personally, I've heard from some very good sources. There's well over 100 people. He helped organize that. He made sure it happened. It happened as per plan. And that was used to cow the Odessan people, people of Odessa, the city of Odessa. Well, he finally got his comeuppance. Assassin walked up behind him with a motorcycle helmet on, with a food delivery bag, pulled out a pistol, popped 8 rounds into his head and back, and walked off. Now they've got some guy that they're now putting on trial very quickly for and parading as the murderer. I highly doubt that's the real person. It's a patsy. It's a patsy they got. Willingly, unwillingly, I don't know. But from that video, I mean, this is obviously an extremely professional person. A, B, he arrived absolutely separately, knew where the person's location would be sooner or later, and carried out a professional hit. And you can see that in video. So he wasn't following his target. He knew where his target would be. So somebody was scouting that area. Somebody had scouted it. Somebody had planned it. He carried it out. Normally, they tend to drop pistols. I mean, the numbers, the ID numbers are scoured off, but they tend to drop a pistol. No, he didn't drop it. He put it right back, walked very calmly. Nobody noticed a thing, and he dissolved into the crowd. That's it. Absolutely professional hitman. So more likely, either this is the British getting rid of a guy they don't need anymore and possibly using that as a threat to Zelensky or other interested parties. This guy is responsible for a lot of murders. I mean, he's no hero. He's responsible for a lot of murders. He is an absolute piece of crap. True, his political career was pretty much so dead at this point. But he had done quite a bit of damage and he was still active and he could have come back into politics. Well, it's a little late right now, or very, very early. It depends how you look at it. So anyway, so he's no longer around. Chalk one up for karma, I guess. The 9 gram of lead type of karma times 8. So noticeable amount of lead. It's lead poisoning, baby. People have allergic reactions to mass lead poisoning, doing terminal velocity a lot. So, and this guy had a very bad case of it right off the bat. Speaking of bad cases and people dying, let's go to Germany, where we have managed democracy, if you can call it that. So the AfD is the #1 party in Germany. Hands down, most popular party. Germany's idiotic system's made so, just like the British. The British, I think, is even more convoluted. It doesn't matter who you vote for, you get the same idiots back in a slightly different coalition around lineup. And they wound up with those people. Well, interestingly enough, you've got elections in the Bundesland, or the province of North Rhineland-Westphalia. And what do I mean by managed democracy? Well, with the AfD set to take the lead in a lot of those local elections, you had 3 members of the AfD that were deemed a threat to the Constitution and were disqualified. How they were a threat to the Constitution, that wasn't mentioned, but they were disqualified. Yeah, that sucks, but that's not life-threatening, is it? Oh, but it can be, because 4 other candidates, one Ralph Lange, or Kanye, I can't read my own writing, I was writing too fast, who was 66 years old, Wolfgang Zeitz, 59, Wolfgang Klinger, 71, and Stefan Berendes, 59. All died. Natural deaths. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, out of all the parties running, only one party had anybody die from natural death, and there were four of them. Oh, but wait, now they're talking about six, and I haven't seen the other two names. So there could be six candidates that just all died in one province from one party, the party that the powers that be curse and despise. There's a threat to their power and a threat to their money making. Are you freaking kidding me? And this is supposed to just be taken by the people as an unfortunate coincidence. Four, now six. I mean, if candidates were dropping dead in all the other parties, yeah, I guess you could say that. And six still would be pretty extreme in one Bundesland. We're not talking all of Germany. We're just talking one province. But no, it's somewhere between four and six now. This is the land of freedom. This is Western values at your finest. You have grabbed power. You grab power from others with other Soviets like yourself, and be damned if you're going to allow anybody to come in there and try to fix the country. It's easier to murder them. Now, considering considering who holds the control over the morgues, it's always going to be natural causes. Think about it. Or it could be the Russian Germans because the Merz government has now declared that the Russian Germans living in Germany are now the main threat. Not the Islamic jihadists that they've imported, not the mass rapes, not the destruction of the culture. No, 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 no. None of that is a threat. It's the Russian Germans, who, by the way, make up 8 million people. That's about 20% of the German population. Quite a few of them have moved back to Russia. Quite a few of them are starting to seriously look at moving back to Russia because now they're getting the feeling of how they're being viewed by the democratic government of Germany. Yeah, okay. France, they banned a candidate. I think Belgium was another candidate banned. It goes on and goes on. We're not going to wait till we have a problem like Gergescu getting elected in the first round in Romania. No, no, no. By the way, apparently, of course, the purpose or the reason that Gergescu's candidacy was nullified and the first elections were nullified because democracy be damned, we are the masters of the universe, EU, because he had close ties on the internet and support from Russia. It was about a week ago in Romania, an article came out and said, well, actually, no, we couldn't find any ties. But when the elections are over, so we have what we have. Yeah, okay, that's how you manage democracy. You're much better off as a monarchy. At least a monarch should be interested in his own country, as opposed to that scum that gets elected constantly. That's owned by and whose loyalty is owned to quite a few other organizations. Maybe those organizations are blackmailing them with child porn tapes, like off of a certain island of a certain billionaire who is very questionable how he made his money because he was a nobody like 10 years earlier, or 20 years earlier. Or maybe it's, because relations, direct relations or national relations. Uh, there's plenty of reasons, but there you go. There you go. The AfD is now being murdered. Oh, they're all coincidentally dying off at the same time before the elections. Your choice. Your choice what to believe. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just presenting you with the facts and my opinion of it. But you are absolutely free to decide. Maybe it's aliens. They're coming down there and they're killing them. Or killer bees. I don't know. They're dropping dead. So, and apparently this isn't the first time. There's been actually quite a few heads or candidates in the AfD that have died mysteriously. Apparently, that's a new German tradition. Uh, or it's partially harking back to Nazi Germany at the early onset of the Nazis getting power. But I guess that's what it is. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's just how it seems. I could be wrong, but I think I'm not. So what else do we have? What else do we have? France. Before we get on to final clown world, France has told its hospitals to prepare for mass casualties, up to 50,000 monthly wounded military and civilians. If they're staying in the military, it'll be a lot more in the first month. But not like France has a big enough military to handle that. They've got like 200 something thousand people. So Macron's government, which is about to fall, and Macron's trying to squirm around as a way to stay in power, or at least until he becomes Emperor of Brussels, or the EU center in Brussels. So Macron's government is now saying, and be ready, not by 2030, not by 2028, not even by 2027, but by 2026, in the next half a year, be ready for mass casualties. France is planning to go to war? Well, I guess we'll live and see. I've got the popcorn and I've got my helmet and I've got my body armor and I just need a commission and a weapon and troops to command and we'll go have fun. I mean, if the EU is that stupid and the people are that lazy not to overthrow these murderous psychopathic bastards and allow their kids to go die, well, what can you do? It is what it is. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that, but we'll see. We will see. Yeah, we will see very soon. Now, because it is late for me, I gotta get some sleep. We've got a long day tomorrow. I am going to go ahead and skip right in to two clown worlds, and they're both in the U.S. and they're both military related. So Trump found a thing to keep the National Guard really busy in Washington. He sent them to pick up trash. Um, I don't have words for this. Never mind, the U.S. has a huge amount of criminals. A lot of them aren't that dangerous. There might be drug related cases or taxes, things like that. Send them to pick up the trash, not the military. I mean, you want to kill enlistment? Geez, you're doing the exact thing you need to do because those pictures of the National Guard picking up trash went around the world. Join the U.S. military. Pick up trash. That's right, baby. That's right. While the NSA and whomever's running around arresting petty criminals, there's 700 of them. I'm not saying they didn't need to be cleaned out. I'm not saying Washington is a cesspool. It is. Not just a moral cesspool, it's a criminal cesspool. I'm not saying all that doesn't need to get fixed. But you don't send the military to pick up friggin' trash unless the military drops that trash. But yeah, there you go. So guard members were lined up with little reflective vests over their uniforms, walking around picking up trash. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And the last clown world, that's the best one. I don't know if it's true or not. I picked this article up out of a newspaper, electronic newspaper. I saw them from one or two others. They probably just get reposted or what have you. But it's about a very unfortunate F-35. I'm surprised something happens in the F-35. That's almost a daily occurrence these days. Well, the clown world part of it was that the pilot of the F-35 spent 50 minutes on the phone with customer support, which is probably in India or in Bangladesh or somewhere like that, of Lockheed Martin, trying to figure out how to save his plane. And after 50 minutes, they had lost so much altitude at this point, and whatever other issues there were, they didn't really specify the issues. But after 50 minutes, the plane was lost, and the pilot was able to catapult out. But the plane was lost. Only $200 million, nothing major. The U.S. taxpayer can just bleed that out of his veins tomorrow. He goes to get blood so he can buy groceries for his kids. Yeah, that's where we stand. I mean, that's where it's at. Pathetic, absolutely. But keeps it interesting. Gotta go pack up some more popcorn because this stuff just keeps on rolling. All right. It is quite late for me right now, and I do need to get some sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be crashing half the day tomorrow. And I've got a show that I've got to record on later today. So be good. God bless. And let the stupidity roll forth. Because my God, they're making my life easy. What did we talk about? Wait, give me 2 minutes. Ooh, I got plenty of things we can talk about. Yeah, yeah. Not the brightest people running the West, are they? No, no, they're not. If they were, the West wouldn't be in the crap shape it is now. And it's only going to get worse. All right. See ya. God bless. Stay cool. And I wish summer hadn't done its duties yet and stayed another month. But what can we do? Here's praying for a warm fall and a quick return to summer. Cheers. God bless.